Welcome everyone to Network Load Balancing Introduction. My name is Michael Crowd and I'm going to be the facilitator for this short video. So network load balancing is used to provide high availability for websites and IP-based traffic. Think of when you go to a website. If you go to the website and it says 404 not found, how often would you go back? Most people only spend about 8 seconds on a website. They're looking for information or looking to buy a product. With billions of websites on the web, it's a good practice to be available. So Microsoft has had a solution for the web environment out there. It's known as network load balancing. The good part of it is that it's free. It's part of Windows Server 2012 R2 operating system. So let's take a look at network load balancing. So what are we going to be looking at? Well, we're going to look at network load balancing. We're going to look at how does network load balancing work. Failover and failback. NLB features in Windows Server 2012 and Windows 2012 R2. Network load balancing is a Windows service that provides high availability of IP-based workloads, such as web services. Let's take an example. We can take a CAS server, which is a client access server that we have in Exchange Server 2010 and 2013. We want to make it highly available so we can make sure that clients are able to connect to their Exchange server. So it provides the ability of scaling from 2 to 32 nodes. And 8 nodes is the recommended threshold. Once you hit this point, then you should look at hardware load balancers. Examples would be Jet Nexus and also F5. There are also other types of load balancers that you can get, software ones that have appliances. One of the key features of network load balance clusters is the ability to expand cluster on demand. You can easily expand the cluster by adding another server to the cluster. NLB automatically load balances traffic based on least utilization and also preferences. So what we can do is we can redirect traffic to a preferred server based on the configuration, meaning that the server has more resources. NLB is used with applications that are stateless. They do not retain any of the data like databases do. It's used for web tiers, also multi-tier applications. NLB is not used for stateful applications such as your file servers or database servers. And these types of servers are protected by failover clusters. We'll be looking at these in another section. So let's take a look at network load balance cluster. As you can see, we have a bunch of servers. These servers form a cluster, and each server has an internal IP address and a VIP, which is known as a virtual IP address. When the client wants to connect to the network load balance cluster, then it's directed to an A record, which is known as a host record. Each server has a network load balance feature installed. And you can use one NIC card, but it's recommended that you use 2 NIC cards. Back to the story. The client types in the URL that they want to connect. The URL is redirected to the A record that is located in the DNS server. And this will be the VIP. So what this could be is www.ideadudes.com or www.microsoft.com. And so what happens is it goes and redirects based on the A record that we have in DNS. The NLB then goes and calculates the traffic, determines which server that the traffic should be sent. And this is based on the protocol that we're allowed to come into the network load balance cluster. This could be 80, like for HTTP. Could be that we want to allow 3389, which is RDP. Remember, the traffic needs to be stateless. After the server is then selected, clients directed to that server. Now each of the servers will have the same content, or it could be shared content located on a DFS cluster. Now, this is another story that we'll talk about later on. NLB nodes are constantly checking to make sure that other servers are online. This is usually a simple ping, and we'll talk about how the failover and everything takes place later on. If the server is not available, then NLB will select another server. And this happens in about 2 to 5 seconds, so the client should not experience any downtime. So let's take a look closer at this process of failover and failback. Remember, we have a heartbeat. This is traveling among the nodes in the NLB cluster. If a heartbeat is missed 5 consecutive times, then a process called convergence will occur. The workload will transfer the inactive node to an active node. And convergence also happens when you bring a node back online, or if the administrator decides to add another node to the cluster. When a host is brought back into the cluster, the node will try to join automatically. You can configure these settings by using the NLB manager, which is located on each of the nodes underneath the server manager. You can also do it through PowerShell. One of the drawbacks of using NLB is it only detects host failure and not application failure. So if you want to detect application failure, then we need to use SCOM, which is part of the System Center suite. And this has management packs that you can get for free. We can upload these into the SCOM, and what it will do is alert us to the fact that an application failed. It also provides other features such as reporting, automatic fixes. And this is another product that you need to add on to the environment. And it helps when you want to automate your administration. Now, NLB has been around for years and really has not changed that much. We're going to take a look at the new features in NLB in Windows Server 2012 and 2012 R2. First, we know that there's support for PowerShell. And this helps to automate some of the menial tasks that we would have to do through the GUI. PowerShell has been here for a while, since Windows Server 2008 R2 for NLB. Now, the module that's installed is Network Load Balancing Clusters. And a module is just a library of functions. And if you haven't had a chance, you need to take a PowerShell class. Microsoft has a mock which is 10961. 10961 deals with PowerShell, teaches you all the things that you need to learn about PowerShell, how to create commandlets, how to be able to work different things like WMI, CIM, and some of the other things that we have with PowerShell. Want more information, you can contact us at the end of the video. Sorry about that, just had to do it. Anyway, back to our story. This module is installed when you install the NLB feature through the Server Manager. Also, you'll find it when you install the RSAT tools onto a workstation or also to a server. And this will allow you to manage NLB remotely. This will also install the PowerShell module for NLB. You can also configure NLB by using the NLB cluster module for cluster management. And there's also another module, which is NLB Cluster Node module, and this is made available once you install the RSAT tools or you install the network load balancing feature within Windows Server 2012 and R2. Okay, so let's take a look at this. What I've done is I've started up my Hyper-V server here. And you'll see I have 3 servers here, SVR1, SVR2, and SVR3. So what we're going to do is we're going to install the network load balancing feature onto each of these servers. So that way, in another video, we'll be able to create the cluster. So let's go ahead, and we're going to go ahead and open up SVR1, for example. And we'll go ahead and log on. Now you'll notice that I have the server manager. It's already set up or started up, so I didn't have to wait for it. So I'm going to go in. You can see I have a NIC card, which is domain. I have another one, NLB. Remember I talked about that you can create an NLB cluster with using one NIC card. But in this instance, we already have two NIC cards. So in each of the different servers got SVR1, SVR2, and SVR3, 70, 71, and 72. And you'll notice my NLB, which is actually what I'm going to use for my heartbeat, has the designation at .2. So that way it separates the actual traffic, because you should separate your NLB traffic from the rest of your traffic on your network. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and manage, and I'm going to add servers. So I'm going to look for SVR2 and SVR3. You may be asking, why am I doing this? Well, because what I can do is I can actually add these servers into a server manager, and we can manage them all from one place. Okay, I have both of those servers there. Now I'm going to go over to all servers. And you can see that the performance counters are not started. I'm going to go ahead and start those up. Now you're like, okay, so what? Big deal. Well, what I can do is I can come over here and I can select all the servers at the same time. And I can go ahead and I can go in and add the new role or feature. I'm going to go ahead and add a new feature. Don't get next happy. Make sure you understand what you're doing. So I'm doing SVR1 first. This makes it so you have a single pane of glass. You can go through and you can just work on one server and not have to RDP into all of them. So network load balancing, go ahead and add that as a feature. Now this doesn't require any specify alternate source path or anything like that. You don't have to worry about restarting the server. But if you want to, just in case, we can say restart if it needs it. So I'm going to go ahead and install. And you wait for paint to dry. While I'm doing that, I'll come over here to SVR2. So I didn't have to go and do an RDP over to that server. I can do it right through our server, all servers. Make sure your correct server is selected. And we wait for that one. And then finally, we'll go ahead and add the third server. And so if there were any restarts, it would go ahead and automatically restart. But there really isn't any. So you can see it's very easy to go ahead and start the process of installing network load balancing. So again, it's a feature, it's not a role, and you do it through a server manager. So let's go ahead and check these. You can see this one's done, so we can close it. This one's almost done. And so this one's almost done also. And so now what we can do is we can go over and you can see how we can go into each of the different ones. So when we come over here to our server manager, we have the network load balancing manager. And so this is where you go and configure all of your network load balancing features. And so what we do is we do a right click and new cluster. When we create a new cluster, that's where we're going to add the additional servers. That's it for right now. We'll come back later on and we'll create our network load balance cluster. So if you want to find out more, we have an MCSA Windows Server 2012 R2 Bootcamp. Also, we have an MCSE Windows Server 2012 R2 Bootcamp. During those boot camps, you'll learn a lot more, such as failover clustering, DAC, which is Dynamic Access Control. You'll be working with the Web Application Proxy, ADFS, Active Directory, and so much more. Also, we have upgrading your skills to MCSA Windows Server 2016. So if you're looking to upgrade your MCSA to the latest and greatest, which is Windows Server 2016, it is out, and a lot of companies are starting to look at it as an option. Stay tuned for Configure a NLB Cluster. Learn how to get training for free. Ask us about our free brochure. We'll show you how we can pay for your training and it doesn't come out of your pocket. If that interests you, then you can contact us by email at sales@ideadudestraining.com. Also, you can call us at 1-888-512-3450. Visit us on the web at http://www.ideadudestraining.com. Also, we're looking for affiliates. If you'd like to make money, give us a call. Text us, email us, let us know, and we'll help you out. Thank you for joining this presentation. We look forward to seeing you on more presentations. And we are Microsoft Certification Camps and Idea Dudes saying so long for now. Thank you.